Hello everyone, this is the unknown astrologer. So as discussed as promised last time, this is a podcast dedicated to understanding the ninth harmonic, the D9 chart, the Navmansha chart. Okay, so first of all, why is D9 important? What we look at, what we try to look at in the D9, how does it help us in assessing the material things in life like job, marriage, etc., etc. And the most important part, what is it that makes D9 one of the most important divisional charts in our horoscope? Okay, so as we know, this is the ninth harmonic. So this is kind of the microscopic view of your ninth house. But it is used for assessing one's marriage. Certain people also believe it to be the chart that it's your chart after you are married or after the age of 35, 36. Some say it's after 32, it's after the first half of life, etc., etc. There's nothing written about the age after which the Normansh activates. So I don't really agree that it activates after a certain age. And I also believe, and some of the gurus and people who I follow, even they believe that it is always active. ऐसा नहीं है कि it activates after a certain event or time or age. It is always active. So let's get into it. Why do we see it, and what does it show? Maybe, I mean, largely, what does it show? So this is the chart which shows your psycho emotional reality. इसको कुछ लोग एस्ट्रल रियलिटी भी बोलते हैं. सो वी एज ह्यूमन बींग्स वी फंक्शन ऑन टू levels. One is the material level and the other is the astral level. Okay, so by material level is what I mean is that how do you look, your physical body and the experiences which the physical body goes through, and how the physical body is and how it reacts and what you get in life, like a house, a car, etc., etc. But the spiritual and the astral, or the psycho emotional in laymanish terms, the psycho emotional reality of you is the D9 chart. Okay, now one may say that there is a conflict here, that it is your it shows your wife and your married life, and it also shows your spiritual and astral reality. How is it connected? Because these are two different things. We believe that marriage is a material thing, and it is not a spiritual thing. तो वो कैसे connected है? So the rishis, the gurus who sort of downloaded astrology and who got astrology, who seeked knowledge, why have they linked it? Why have they linked your married life to D9? Okay, it is because, see, spirituality essentially changes you or evolves you. It is believed that your relationship with another human being and how that relationship makes you a different person is the most spiritual experience. Okay, because this is an experience with a physical human being which exists at the same plane where you exist, and how you evolve after that is the highest form of spirituality. I know that a lot of people who practice spirituality say that I will leave, and they leave their houses and family, etc. But the reason why D9 shows it is because of this reason. Okay, It is the fruits of the dharma. Okay, it is 11th from 11th, which is the ninth house. Now, uh, I'll give you some of them, some more keywords, and then we'll go deep into this D9 and the spiritual connection. Okay, this also shows the worldview, what worldview you have, what are your core beliefs, which is your dharma, the core belief system. This comes from D9. Okay, and this core belief system in most of the individuals changes because of marriage, or it evolves, grows, or diminishes, whatever, after marriage. Okay, so this is the reason why it is connected uh, to marriage. Okay, and a lot of people, I mean, the way they put it is that the Kundli, the D1 chart, displays the social and the material outcomes, and the Navmansha chart displays the psycho-emotional or the astral features of your personality, such as predispositions, polarities, what you believe internally. Okay, and how that internal belief changes. So, what happens is that every human being changes after marriage to the D9 version of his chart. So you grow from D1 to D9. Okay. So let's say your Lagna in D1, just for example, is Taurus, and D9 it is Cancer. So you will grow from Taurus to Cancer in life. Your belief system will become that of Cancer slowly. Now, since this is a highly uh, evolved or a highly non material concept, it is very difficult to articulate it in a way that it is understandable to everybody or to us, or even I can't explain it in very simple terms, because it is the process of evolution, and marriage is the most important factor in this process of evolution. This is why it has been connected with D9, and childbirth is connected with D7. Why? Because that is 11th from ninth. So that is the fruit of the union, which is the seventh. Fruit of your union, which is the D9. Okay. Now, in order to understand D9 from the spouse perspective, there is one very simple way to judge it, is that the Lagna of D9 is you in that relationship. Essentially, what will happen, you in that relationship will change the whole of you after 20, 25 years, 30 years of being in a relationship. Okay, so that is how this change happens. So, first of all, marriage triggers and changes a version of you that makes you a different person inside your house, or maybe with your spouse. But that interaction with your spouse slowly changes you, or changes the way you deal with everything else outside of the house, also. Okay, so the Lagna of the D9 is you in the relationship, and the seventh house is your spouse. Okay, so what you are and what you want from the relationship is D1. Your expectations from your married life is sorry, not even the first house of D9. And what your wife wants and what your wife is the seventh house of your D9. I'm saying wife because I'm, a man, so I mean, it comes naturally to me. But when I say wife, I will be meaning spouse in the course of this podcast. So what your spouse is the seventh house, and what he or she wants is the seventh house of D9 chart. Okay, so now in a very simple way to understand is that, let's say you have uh, Aries ascendant in D9. I will go ascendant by ascendant in the upcoming videos, but right now I'm just giving an example. Okay, let's say you are Capricorn ascendant in D9. So that means that you will be focused on the job out. You would want to be focused on the job outside of your home. You would want to go out, work, be the breadwinner. And the seventh is Cancer, so you want your wife to take care or your husband to take care of your home responsibilities. This is the basic, innate, simple example. Okay, these things can be altered by planets in 1/7 axis. I'm just giving you a basic, raw example. So Capricorn is a sign of natural 10th house. So it shows that the person who has Capricorn Navmansha would be very practical, very pragmatic, would want to go out, make money, come back home, and then spend time with the family. And he would want, or she would want, his or her partner to take care of the family and the house. Okay, this is what you would want. The Makar Navmansha native would also marry somebody, or would want to marry somebody who uplifts his or her status in the society. A lot of times you'll find Makar Navmansha people will marry somebody in the same profession, or they both can be doing business together. Okay, but if both of them have Makar Navmansha, and the wife would be, or the husband would be taking care of the house. I mean, if just one of them have it, this is what they want. In extreme cases, these people will also end up marrying for status. Like we see a lot of celebrity marriages in which somebody marries somebody because it uplifts the status, brings them in the limelight, makes them stay in the limelight, or some other professional reasons. Those people would have a Makar Navmansha. Okay. Now this will also, the strength of this will also depend that which Navmansha you have, which Lagna you have in D1. If it is Earth sign, then it will really complement Makar, and they will go for a status driven marriage, or a marriage will uplift the status. If not, then it will dilute. It will. So these things we will take these things up one at a time. Okay, and for a Makar native, Makar D9 rising native, the marriage will become about managing the emotions of the partner. The partner will not be very stable emotionally, and he or she can have, phases of multiple emotions coming and going, and the marriage can become kind of difficult at times to manage the family life, because the seventh house here becomes Cancer, so that gives a range of emotions to the spouse. And Makar is very pragmatic, very practical. It becomes difficult for the Capricorn person to manage the Cancer emotions. But it so happens that because this is 1/7, Capricorn and Cancer are 1/7. They are kind of opposites. That's why they get married. It so happens that other planets, if they are well placed, if Moon is well placed in this case, of Saturn is with Venus or somewhere else, then this will be a good match, and they will be able to navigate it. So we'll come to individual specific ascendants in the upcoming videos. Now, as I said, D1 is a material, D9 is a spiritual astral reality. Uh, what also happens, what we also use the Nomansh for, is to see the strength of planets their core strength, internal strength which the planets have. It's like a certain planet uh, could be very shiny or very, very, it can look very strong if it is exalted in D1, but internally it can be very weak if, let's say, it's debilitated in D9. तो वो एक्चुअल कितना स्ट्रेंथ है, in order to judge that, the best thing is to see the Navmansha Rashi and house placement of a particular planet. For example, like Sun is a very good example to take, because Sun becomes niche every year in the month of October, November. But not everybody will have a weak result of Sun, because certain people will have it exalted in the D9, some will have it in Leo or in other friendly signs. Somebody might have it as a Vargottam sun. So on 20th of October, usually 19th or 20th of October, sun becomes Vargottam in Libra, which is a very good. That, I mean, the weakness is reduced in that case. If it also has Nij Bhanga, if the Nij Bhanga Rajyog exists and it is Vargottam, then you cannot consider it to be a weak sun. If the Nij Bhang is not there, then it could be, relatively weaker. But anyways, it is better than a non-Vargottam Neech sun. Similarly, there is a date, I'm forgetting which date is that, when sun becomes exalted in D1 and debilitated in D9. Same goes for vice versa. So now D9 will give you the real core strength of the planet. Okay. Now the best use of Navmansh which I have seen, which is again a kind of a, I've not read it or heard it anywhere else. It is my understanding. Maybe some people others will also come at the same understanding if it is correct, right? We'll get to know that. What I think is that, let's say you have a planet which is ruling both the both houses which are not very favorable materially. Let's say in Scorpio ascendant you are running a planet, Dasha of Mercury. It rules 11th and the 8th house, right? Or in ascendants of Mercury you have Mars, or in Leo you have Sun, you have Saturn Dasha, the Akarak Dashas, which are not very good planets. In fact, Leo and Saturn is not the best example, because Saturn rules the 7th house, which is a Kendra. So any planet which is not ruling a Kendra or Trikona will give you less benefits when it comes to material things, like money and success will be low. But if that planet is, let's say, in the ninth house of D9, right? Or in a very good, in its own house in D9, let's say. So, what it means is that you will be going through a rough time in your job, in your career, in your family, via health also. But because that planet is placed in the ninth house of D9, the impact of this material reality, the emotional or the spiritual impact, would be that it will push you towards spirituality, and you will start believing in the spiritual things. And so it will get, you will be still peaceful in spite of a lot of trouble. You will not be very disturbed. You will be like, okay, I'm fine, this is what life is and I have to deal with it, and I'll deal with it. Similarly, if let's say you are going through a very good planet in D1, and even that is in the ninth house of D9 or whatever, so that will also make you spiritual. Success will make, the more success you get, the more spiritual you become, because it is in D9, it is triggering that psycho emotional response. The response to that success is that whatever I am getting is because of God, and it is my duty to give it back to the society, and I should do this puja and part, and I should do some charity, and all of these. This is the psycho emotional response to the success of D1. Similarly, to the failures of D1, even a failed individual can become very spiritual. That is because in D9, the planet is very, very well placed. The converse of this would be that you have a very strong planet in D1, which becomes very weak in D9. So that will make you an unthankful individual. That you will be making success, you will think it's all about because of me, it's my thing, I'm doing it, and there's nothing like spirituality. No need. You will not even think about spirituality. You will just think about the material things in life. So this is how the D9 actually impacts all of us, and it impacts us at all ages. It is not triggered only after marriage or after a certain age, at every age. Even a 10-year-old young girl or a boy who's doing very good at sports can become very spiritual and can become very giving if that planet is good in D9, or can become very bitter if it is not. So D9 will be the psycho emotional response to the material successes or failures of the D1 chart. Again, the judgment of this is the dasha, the running dasha, that in which dasha you will become what. Okay. At times, we also see that somebody is running through a dasha of the ninth house of D1, let's say, and that person wants to become spiritual. He or she thinks that I want to gain interest in spirituality. I want to look for a guru, and because in a way, in his head, spirituality is become kind of a material thing. He wants it. What if it is not supported by the D9 chart? He will not get it. These are the people who end up saying, "Ki I'm looking for a guru, I don't get a guru." But essentially, if you actually become spiritual, then you don't look for a guru. You get that knowledge, or you even if you will attain that peace internally without looking for anything. I mean, looking will have no impact on the peace which you have or you don't have. So that is how D9 and D1 work in tandem when it comes to your spiritual thoughts and your spiritual pursuits. Okay. Now, another important factor is that in certain uh, if in certain charts, if you see that a particular Rashi in D9 has a lot of planets. Let's say you have a D9 of Mesh Lagna, and in your fourth house is Cancer, you have a lot of planets. Okay, four planets, three planets, four more than three or more than three. Then the placement of Cancer, I mean the Dasha of Moon, will have a lot of impact in your life, a lot of emotional impact. If the same thing is in let's say in Capricorn, the Dasha of Saturn will have a lot of impact. It will trigger a lot of emotional things for you. Good or bad, I don't know. Nobody can say that by just this one point, but it will have a lot of impact. Okay. So, mm, so now another thing is that D9 can also show a certain family patterns, that the belief system of the family, it's always connected in a lot of ways. So you will find some similarities in D9 in you and your brother and your mother and your father. Some important planets will have a similar pattern there. It always happens. Very difficult, I will not find it. So this is how the circuit is. There will be circuit breakers in family. The circuit breaker is Ketu. So placement of Ketu in second house or fourth house, or even with second lord and fourth lord, can make that person break away from the family tradition, because second house, this is of D1, right? Second house of D1 or fourth of D1, even though the Navmansha patterns exist, but because of Ketu, the circuit breaker, it will separate that individual. Okay. Uh, Now, D9 usually ends up giving us a lot of information which is not directly related to the material success and failure, and hence in material questions, like a question about buying a house or buying a car or anything except getting married, D9 will only be used to judge the strength of the planets. Okay, I see it for career, some clues in career also, because I see the placement of 10th lord of D1 in the D9 chart. It gives me some clues and supports some of the uh, inferences of D1 and D10. Okay, but not many people do that, so a lot of people don't look at it for anything except marriage, uh, because most of the questions which astrologers get are material questions, so you can't really find much. You can only find the psycho-emotional response to material success and failures. So if you have taken a consultation with me, I must have told you that you will get this but you will not be happy even after getting it. Dasha will give you a lot of success but you will not be happy. So at times I've seen the D9 in and then I've said that I've seen the Dasha Lord in D9. Okay. So for all other things, it forecasts the character of the spouse, and it also tells you about the what you want from the marriage and how you are in the marriage. Now, you will also find in a lot of cases that the seventh house of D9 will be similar to the lagna, that the D1 chart of your spouse. In very good matches or long lasting matches, or either of these two scenarios, you can also find that the seventh house of D9, let's say your D9 is Taurus, so the seventh house is Scorpio. You will also find that your wife or husband could be a Scorpio Lagna individual or a Scorpio Moon individual. It is, I've seen that in some of the long lasting, highly spiritual, intertwined lives in which people have actually become the same, and after 15-20 years of marriage you don't see a difference. Both will say the same thing. If you ask them a question, they will have the same answer. They will have the same response to a problem in the society, and they will like the same kind of food, and it becomes two souls one life kind of situation, which is otherwise, in all other cases, you will find that the seventh house of D9, let's say it is again Scorpio, so the first house of D1 of your spouse could be ruled by Mars, or Mars could be sitting there, or he or she could be a Mesh Rashi or a Scorpio Rashi individual, or Mars could be sitting with Moon, or Mars could be sitting with the ascendant Lord. So Mars will have an impact on the Moon of the ascendant. Okay, it now if you will look at it straight away, you might not find it in your chart, let's say. Why? Because maybe your seventh house of D9, which is Scorpio, it might have a Mercury sitting there. So then your husband or wife could be a person connected with Mercury or Mars, or in some cases both. That the moon is in Gemini, aspected by Mars. So basically, your wife or husband is ruled by Mars Mercury combination. So you will find this combination as a defining combination in the spouse's chart from Lagna or from Moon. Okay. So this makes the 1-7 axis of Navmansha very, very important. Now, since this podcast could also be heard by people in different countries where they might have had multiple marriages, so the reason for multiple marriages ultimately is that the spiritual path cannot be completed with just one person, and the evolution of your soul cannot be completed by just one person. So you will meet somebody else, and that person will evolve you further. Right? It can happen in India also, because nowadays or in times to come after 20-25 years, people will have multiple marriages. So the second marriage is seen from the 8th house of D9. Okay, so the 2-8 axis will become the you and your wife's axis or husband's axis. ठीक है? So so 1728, and then again third marriage is 8th from 8th, which is 39. Why 8th? Because 8th means the death of first and the beginning of second. Even in D1 chart, if somebody has had a divorce and you have to predict about a second marriage, to see the second house, because it is 8th from 7th, and third house becomes then 8th from second, which is the ninth, and so on and so forth. So just go 8 8 8 8 in circular fashion to get the next and the next and the next and the next spouse. So you can extend this that the mother of the spouse could be first spouse could be seventh, sorry, fourth from seventh in the D9. So your 10th house of D9 can give you some clues about your mother-in-law, and ninth from seventh, which is the uh, third house of D9, can give you some clues about your father-in-law, and uh, so on and so forth. Now, the character of the spouse is the seventh of D9, but you can't again see that in isolation. You have to also see the seventh of D1. Seventh of D1, seventh of D9, both. And one very important factor is that seventh from Chandra also shows a lot of details. So I will also do a full video on predictions from Chandra Lagna and how seventh from Chandras, which has to be superimposed on the D1 chart, how that superimposition of seventh from Moon and what it tells you. Okay, so as you know, an individual has multiple layers, so you cannot just look at one particular point and make a prediction. You so let's say if you make a prediction of seventh from D9, that will be correct, but that will not define the spouse in totality. It will just define some aspects of the personality of the spouse. Then seventh from D1 will tell you some more aspects. Seventh from Moon will tell you about the emotional aspects at the surface level. Then placement of Venus in D1 will tell you more about the personality for a male chart. Right? Male chart, Venus is the Karaka of the wife. Similarly, for a female chart, placement of Jupiter will tell you more about the husband's characteristics. So we have to see 3 4 parameters, and all of these characters will be true. The human being will have more of something and less of something. Okay, but if you have to make a snapshot prediction, if you have to be very quick at it, then see seventh from the D9 Lagna to give you 2 3 pointers which will be mostly true. Okay, now whatever characteristics one says, let's say you if you are Capricorn ascendant D9, and one says that you would want to do the outdoor work in marriage, and you can also marriage for status, marriage for projection of your personality. If your Saturn is in 8th of D9, which I mean it goes 8th from the Lagna, it will dilute these predictions. Then this person of Capricorn ascendant with Saturn in the 8th house will not display these qualities to the fullest. In fact, it will diminish it. It cannot remove it. It will lower it. He will have a thought of getting married to somebody who will uplift his status, but he might marry somebody of a similar status also, because he will say ki both of us together will 1 plus 1 will be 2. Somebody else with ascendant lord in ascendant, let's say, would want to marry 2 steps up, 3 steps up, or even 10 steps up. Okay, so that's how these predictions can be diminished or can be exaggerated. That is by the placement of the Lord. The best or the strongest factor to dilute the characteristics of any house is when the Lord goes to eighth of to that house. It dilutes it. Okay. So what it does is that for astrologers and for people who are very evolved, let's say, D9 becomes an equally important chart as D1, because for those people, they have anyways decided to let go of the material things. So for them, D9 is as as important, because D1 will still be your physical body. You can't, if you're alive, you can't let go of that. So D9 is your spiritual, the soul, in a way. So it is as important for everybody, or for most of us. D9 D9 is, I mean, D9 is as important, but we will not realize that, because we don't realize that how will we feel when we buy a car. For us, buying a car is important. The feeling associated is what we experience, but we will convince our minds to be happy, at least in front of others, because we think that this is a good thing. But maybe you are not happy from inside. That is because of the D9 placement of your that Rashi, that Dasha Lord, in which you are experiencing the material success or the material failures. Okay. So, um, so one can actually safely say that if you are a wise person, or when you gain wisdom, when you grow old in life, that's why people say second half of life is Navmansha. When you grow old in life, you realize other things in life which are more important to you than materialism. But in early ages, that is something which happens to very few people. So yeah, now a lot of people will say that Rahu Ketu transit on the Navmansha 1/7 axis can result in marriage. So I have not seen that. Okay, and some of the writers, even I have read in the beginning of my journey in astrology, have written that, and I respect those writers. But I cannot assign. In fact, I'll be very direct to this. I cannot assign a single marriage. I saw around 20, 15, 20 charts before making this video also. So I cannot assign a single marriage to this Rahu Ketu axis in the D917 axis. Rahu Ketu transit. I've not seen that. So I have seen marriages happening mostly in the Jupiter transits, when Jupiter aspects the seventh or the first house on the 1/7 axis. Even Saturn Sadhasati, the beginning 2.5 years have given resulted in marriage for a lot of people, and especially for female, because it shows change of place. And Jupiter in 12th, again for female, it shows change of place. People who are spending their own money in their marriage, Jupiter in 12th shows that you will do a big expenditure, which is on a happy thing. Jupiter in 12th. At times, the father of the bride or the groom, the father will be going to Jupiter in 12th, and marriage will happen for their children. People who gain money in marriage, a lot of people in India get money, which is not the right thing, but they do get. That happens, and those marriages happen in Jupiter in 11th or Jupiter in second house. So basically, Jupiter can give you marriage in 11th, 12th, 1st, 2nd, 7th, and also at times in ninth and 5th. So this depending on the Madasha and Antardasha again. I've seen that happening. Sadasati gives marriage in a lot of cases, because Sadasati has to give you more responsibilities, more pressure, stress. So at times people get married, and a lot of people in India have made marriage a huge issue. So they think it's a big thing and it will change my life. So they get stressed just before marriage any which ways. So which is again Saraswati in Saraswati is possible. Okay. So as I said that we sh- we are born with D1 D9, and slowly our consciousness is moving towards our D9 self. So as we grow old, we become more and more of our D9 self, because we slowly cut off from the society. And when we die, then we are cut off completely and we become the completely D9 self. Okay. And D9 is also your spouse. So you can understand. So you are becoming your spouse slowly. You are becoming like that person, and vice versa. And then you die. So this is how the consciousness evolves. Now, because I think I've put it pretty well this time. So now, because you evolve and then you die, so this is the spiritual journey, right? Then you reach that. When you die materially, then you are connected to the spiritual side completely. So that is why D9 shows spouse and also shows your spiritual response or the psycho emotional response. This is why they are connected. That is why D9 is the chart of spouse and spirituality, and D7 is a chart of children and not of spouse. It's the chart of your kids. Okay. Uh, so I'll just rephrase it now again. So basically, we see the D9 to judge the strength, the inner strength of planets, which is the case for all planets. I see it to get more clues about the career by seeing the 10th lord of D1 in D9. Okay. Then it shows your character in your marriage and your spouse's character in your marriage. It also shows what you want from your marriage and what your spouse wants from the marriage, or what you get from your, no, what you want and what you get. 1 7. Okay. The 10th house of D9 can show two things. It is called the 10th Navmansha. It's a keyword in astrology. A lot of people call it 10th Navmansha mein kya hai. It shows how your image in society changes after marriage, which essentially means how your career grows after marriage. Because image in society is of you as a professional primarily. So not in your neighborhood, but in your society. That this guy is a doctor, अच्छा doctor है, ये बुरा doctor है, etc. etc. It also shows the 10th Navansha also shows how your relationship is viewed by people around you. For example, that you might know a couple and you can say they are exactly like each other and they are so friendly and they are always chatting and fighting and all. So their 10th Navansha could be Gemini. Gemini could be in the 10th sign of Navansh. That is because of, so that is the public image. The public image of your marriage is that of a Gemini, which are twins, same people, same age, fighting and quarreling and laughing and playing. But their reality inside the house could be different. But that is just the projection. Okay. Uh, and if you come across somebody who you think they are always fighting, they are arguing, they are in a very bad marriage, that could be the 10th Navansha could be Virgo. Okay. There could be a Sagittarius ascendant in D9, one of them or both of them, which puts Virgo in the 10th. So their public image will be that of a fighting couple, arguing couple. This public image मे और मे नॉट बी बिकॉज ऑफ देयर एक्चुअल फाइट इन पब्लिक. किसी ने उनको लड़ते हुए देखा नहीं होगा शायद, बट शायद उनके फादर इन लॉ ने, मदर इन लॉ ने किसी को बता दिया हो, उसने किसी और को बता दिया हो. जब वो लोग साथ में कहीं जाते हो तो कभी कोई ऐसा इशू हो गया कि दे हैव डिफरेंट ओपिनियंस. सो दिस जस्ट मेक्स देयर इमेज एज अ कपल हु आर आर्ग्यूइंग. बट उनकी रियलिटी अलग हो सकती है, शायद वो घर पे वैसे नहीं हो. और वही जेमिनाई जिसका 10th में है, शायद वो घर पे वैसा हो बट वो दिखता वैसा नहीं है. उसका प्रोजेक्शन इज दैट ऑफ अ वेरी फ्रेंडली कपल, दे आर लाइक फ्रेंड्स. तो ये प्रोजेक्शन ऑफ द मैरिज इज 10th नवांशा, 10th हाउस ऑफ नवांशा. ठीक है. So now Navansha chart can be read in this way, that the first house is, as I said, you in the marriage, your expectations and your reality. Second house is the collective kind of environment which you guys have created, the wealth plus the kutumbhav. Third is your communication, how you this is important. Third is important because it shows how you communicate in your marriage, कि कोई अपनी वाइफ से कैसे बात करता है, वाइफ उससे या वाइफ के चार्ट में हस्बैंड से कैसे बात करती है. वो बात सॉफ्टली होती है, लाउडली होती है, एनिमेटिकली होती है, या बहुत लविंगली होती है, या बहुत जैसे भी होती है, वो थर्ड साइन बताएगा. जब डिबेट होता है, लड़ाई होती है, तो वो क्या रिस्पॉन्स देता है, वो थर्ड हाउस से मालूम पड़ेगा. कम्युनिकेशन गड़बड़ होगा अगर थर्ड हाउस में स्कॉर्पियो साइन आता है तो. ठीक है. फोर्थ हाउस आपका घर, आप जो कपिल है उसका होम, फिजिकल होम भी और होम इन्वायरमेंट भी कैसा है, वो फोर्थ से आ गया. फिफ्थ हाउस इज योर एटीट्यूड टूवर्ड्स योर क्रिएटिविटी. जॉइंट क्रिएटिविटी इज बेसिकली चिल्ड्रन, बट फिर भी चिल्ड्रन को उतना नहीं देख सकते क्योंकि वो D7, देयर इज अ चार्ट डेडिकेटेड फॉर, सप्तम चार्ट इज डेडिकेटेड फॉर चिल्ड्रन. ठीक है. सिक्स्थ इज योर डिस्प्यूट्स एंड डिस्प्यूट रेजोल्यूशंस. सिक्स्थ हाउस में मर्क्यूरी का होना बहुत अच्छा है. इट मीन्स कि यू विल टॉक योर डिस्प्यूट्स आउट, बातचीत करके निपट जाएगा. तो D9 चार्ट में सिक्स्थ मर्क्यूरी इज़ अ वेरी गुड प्लेसमेंट. सेवेंथ हाउस इज योर स्पाउस, एज आई जस्ट टोल्ड यू. एट्थ हाउस is the longevity and can also be the joint assets of marriage, and also the in-laws, the environment from where your wife or husband comes from. Ninth house is your dharma. Ninth house of D9 is very important for your spiritual growth also. 10th is the public image, and also how your career shapes up post marriage, or is perceived post marriage, or how are you perceived post marriage. But mainly for a married couple, this mainly shows how the marriage is perceived. हर इंसान, whosoever is listening to this audio sorry, will can think of somebody, यार वो कपिल बड़े मज़ेदार है, वो कपिल बड़ा बोरिंग है, वो कपिल बहुत लड़ाकू है, उनकी तो आपस में बनती ही नहीं है, उनकी तो बहुत अच्छी फ्रेंडली रिलेशनशिप है. हर इंसान के पास ऐसे एग्जाम्पल्स होंगे. ये उस कपिल में से किसी एक का या दोनों का 10th हाउस का रिजल्ट है. ठीक है. 11th इज गेन्स, 12th इज योर ट्रैवल एंड योर स्पिरिचुअल ग्रोथ एंड कनेक्शन एक्सेट्रा. स्पिरिचुअल ग्रोथ 9th से भी है, 12th से भी है. 12th में ट्रैवल भी बहुत है. एक्सपेंडिचर्स किस चीज़ पे करते हो वो भी है. एनर्जी एक्सपेंडिचर किस पे होता है. सेक्स लाइफ भी है. बट क्योंकि ये स्पिरिचुअल, सेक्स लाइफ नहीं है, क्योंकि ये स्पिरिचुअल चार्ट है, सो 12th हाउस ऑफ D9 विल नॉट शो दैट. इट कैन शो योर कॉस्मिक कनेक्शंस और कनेक्शंस बियॉन्ड द मैरिज बेसिकली, कि आपका शादी के बाहर किसी के साथ क्या बहुत इमोशनल स्पिरिचुअल कनेक्शन बन रहा है, विच इज़ द 12th हाउस ऑफ योर D9. नॉन फिजिकल कनेक्शन. Okay, this is not a material chart. Nothing physical can be seen in this. Everything will be more of spiritual. Even the fourth of which I just said, that it shows the home, physical home, and the environment of home. It will show more of the environment and less of the physical thing. हर चीज़ फिजिकल लेवल पे कम है. इसीलिए how your spouse will look, you can't see from the 7th house of D9. How your spouse will feel, you can see. Look is the 7th house of D1. Venus and Jupiter in D1 for male and female respectively. Okay, so yeah, this is my understanding of the Navmansha chart. After this, we will take up one ascendant of D9 and try to decode that ascendant without any planetary placements. So, if I go to Mesh Lagna in D9, I will talk about Mesh in D9 without considering whether Saturn is placed in ascendant or second house or not. Now you will have to understand as a student of astrology कि Saturn यहाँ पे होगा तो ये जो भी predictions मैंने किए हैं वो कैसे और कितना dilute हो जाएंगे या नहीं होंगे. You cannot make a video on 9 planets in 12 houses in D9. It becomes infinite possibilities हैं because planets will be together, there could be 2 planets together, 3 together, वो नहीं बन सकता. So let's just understand planet ownership, lordships. Mesh Lagna second house will be owned by Taurus and so on and so forth. Let's do that one at a time. So this will be a series of 12 videos, and this is 1 so 13 videos in totality. So once we are done with Navmansh, then we can go to other divisional charts and other things. I have to do a video on Chandra Lagna and Sur Lagna analysis also. So I might do that sometime in between between the Navmansha videos. So yeah, if you like it, please do subscribe to my channel, share with your friends, and keep tuning in. Thank you. Good night.